lot to talk to with the President's Counselor, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, thank you for joining us this morning. You just heard Martha's piece right there. Criticism also coming in from the Republican chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, Mike McCall, saying that this should have been better coordinated. We have to do this in a way that doesn't undermine our nation's credibility. You have the Republican chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Mr. Corker, also saying this was poorly implemented. Revisions must be made. So are revisions coming?
Well, the president made very clear last night, George, what this does and what it does not do. And let's really focus on that, because I see all these protesters. I think if you actually surveyed them, they would probably get the facts wrong. They're being misinformed. This is 7 countries. These countries were identified by President Obama. President Trump is merely following President Obama's lead on state-sponsored terrorist countries where they have a history of training and exporting and harboring terrorists.
Kellyanne, let me just stop you right there, because President Obama did not institute an order about banning travel from these 7 countries. Also, your executive order, the president's executive order, references 9/11 several times. 2 points. None of the deadly terror attacks in this country since 9/11 have been carried out by anyone from those 7 countries. Point number 2, 18 of the 19 9/11 attackers came from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. There is no ban from that country. Those countries also happen to be countries where President Trump has significant business interests. So why weren't those countries included?
2 points in response, George. One is that President Obama certainly had a ban on the Iraqi refugee program for 6 months, which is double the time that's contemplated under President Trump's executive order. His is 90 days or 3 months. President Obama had it for 6 months, banning the Iraqi refugee program. Why did people not protest that? I have an idea, because it was never covered in the press. If you ask the people who are protesting outside these airports, what is different here from the Iraqi ban in 2011, put forth by their hero, President Obama, they wouldn't know what you were talking about, because it was never covered, let alone protested.
Well,
Imagine, and to the second point, since you asked me 2 points, I'll answer it. People need to be reminded what this is about. And 9/11 is the example that is still most raw and most fresh to many people about what a president's first responsibility is to keep the people of this country safe. This is temporary. It is narrowly prescribed. As your own reporting just said, George, there is not a single person still being detained, apparently. That's ABC News' reporting. The 170 legal permanent residents who requested waivers yesterday got each of them. 170 requested, 170 granted. So people are protesting things. Imagine if they had put all these energy, these tear-filled senators, these senators with bullhorns. Imagine if they had protested outside VA hospitals when our veterans were dying, waiting for care. Imagine if they cared about the homeless they walk by every single day in New York and Washington. Where's the protest on that?
Kellyanne, just on your first point, and I want to move on from that. When you talk about Iraq, that temporary ban was put in for increased vetting after 2 Iraqi nationals were identified as possibly being involved with making IEDs in Iraq. And there was actual substantial coverage at the time. But I do want to move on, because the president had responded to Senators McCain and Graham last night as well, saying that they should focus their energies on ISIS, illegal immigration, and border security instead of always looking to start World War III. How are Senators McCain and Graham looking to start World War III?
Well, the first part of the tweet is really instructive and operative, George. It's like, we have a lot to do, and we want Republican senators, both of whom pursued the presidency themselves, we want them to be there for this president, to support him, especially when he is trying to keep our people safe. And he's basically saying to people, you protested my nomination, you protested my candidacy, you protested my election, you protested my inauguration, you protested the day after the inauguration, you're protesting the executive order, you're protesting. How about this cooperation and collaboration, this quote bipartisanship that we're always talking about? The only person doing that is President Trump.
Those are Republican senators, Senators John McCain and Lindsey Graham, and the president said they are looking to start World War III.
And he's wondering out loud, George, in the first part of that tweet, why they don't invest their energies into the real problems we have. Problems that, by the way, existed for all the years and decades these folks have been in the House and the Senate. I mean, Donald Trump has been on the job for, 8, 9, 10 days? Barack Obama was here for 8 years. The extraordinary accomplishments in just the first week truly are breathtaking. Today, today or tomorrow, this week, he'll appoint his. He'll talk about who he's nominating to the United States Supreme Court. He'll meet with small business leaders. He'll sign additional executive orders. We would like Republican senators and Democratic senators to really look at what this particular executive order that's temporary and narrowly prescribed provides, and respond accordingly, not respond to what they think it provides. They can call the White House, they can come and visit, they can get a full briefing if they like, but people in this town like to react first and think second. That's not the way businessmen do their work.
We're just about out of time. It's really just a yes or no question. Does the president believe that those two senators are looking to start World War III?
You can read his tweet, but read the full tweet. Don't cherry pick it the way the media like to do these days, respectfully, George. No reductive curating reporting, in my view, is helpful to the American public to understand. What the president said is, here's a list of things where I can really use your help, instead of always looking for an argument, always getting in the way of this Republican president. We want to work with all the senators, regardless of their political affiliation, but that has to go both ways. He's been very open to working with people. We had Democratic senators in last week, meeting with him, talking about a range of issues. He's been to Capitol Hill. Vice President Pence has been to Capitol Hill. We're being very collaborative and very opening. We were just very open. We would just like the same in return. And we like the facts out there so people don't turn to violence and aren't misinformed about what this executive order provides and, more importantly, what it does not provide.
Kellyanne Conway, thanks very much.
Thank you.